Okay, I think an hour's good. Unless we're
Perfect.
just rapping. If we're rapping hard, it's fine.
All right, so we are here and just warming up here with David Rodriguez. So we are just waiting a second here for some people to come on in, and we'll be doing an interview as relates to all the work that he does with unschooling, homeschooling, and his other types of activism. Just kind of talking about why he's so passionate about setting kids free, setting the captive free, you could say. So all right, we're starting to get people in now, so I can see. So we'll go ahead and start warming up here and telling people a little bit about yourself, David. Here, what it is that you do in terms of schooling, unschooling, homeschooling, and all the great stuff that you do. If you would give everybody here an introduction to yourself.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me.
My
And
pleasure.
I don't know, do you go by the honest teacher? Or do you go by your first name here? I don't want to expose any sensitive
Just say
information.
I was teacher is fine. It's perfect. Either way, teach whatever.
Teach. Right on.
Yay.
Well, hey man, yeah, it's great to be here. And I am someone. I'm a principal of a private school, a non-traditional school. I do accelerated graduations. I can graduate teenagers as young as 14. Of course, up to 18. Get them out of the school system. I'm a homeschool consultant, a homeschool leader, and publisher of the Underground History of American Education, Volume One, by the world famous, lovable guy John Taylor Gatto. And and so that was kind of the whole intro to this thing. I started some expo called the Education Options Expo in 2014. And it's based on the philosophy of Buckminster Fuller, where you don't change reality by fighting against something. You got to create a new model that makes the old model obsolete. And so once I started to understand what Gatto was talking about and other educators, of the past, you can't change the system. The system has too much money in it, $700 billion system. There's too much incentivization on there and livelihoods and things like that. So we just got to pull the kids out. Yet to relaunch is the Gatto Project, which is an acronym which is Get All the Thinkers Out of For Schooling. And I'm sitting on that for a little while just to make sure it's good. But I think that's going to be the move going forward, understanding that the 12 years compulsory school system is a day prison. And this is not to berate the teachers in there. My mother was a public school teacher for 20 years. I have family members who are principals and teachers now. So I know there's awesome, loving people inside the system, but the system's based on compulsory attendance, compulsory curriculum. You got to get permission to go to the bathroom. Is an unbelievable system, and child abuse, in my opinion. And so that's what kind of got me into the freedom movement, just because, as you know, as a successful guy, money's great and we need it. But ultimately, I think a powerful life is leaving a legacy and creating some ripples behind us, as some of the great people who we're studying now have impacted us and inspired us. So that's kind of the quick intro. And yeah, any way to empower parents, empower young people, I think is really important, because freedom is the issue of our lifetime. I'm going to do my best to help get the word out.
Awesome. And how did you get into the idea of, unschooling and getting young people to think outside the compulsory schooling paradigm? Like, what led you to that point?
I think it was seeing Gatto. I think Gatto was on the InfoWars show in 2012. And then I saw Charlotte Iserbit, and I said, I knew something was fishy about the school system. And so it's terrible, harmful to children. And so the question is, so what's the solution? What are you going to do? And then I started looking into homeschooling, and I found unschooling. And I like the term 100% self-directed learning. I think that's a very accurate term of what it is. And it started attending different conferences. And then I think that was the kind of intro, just learning about like where the school system came from. And then I was actually an English teacher in Korea for about a year, about 10 years ago. And I started listening to the audiobook by Murray Rothbard called For a New Liberty. And I didn't even know what I was listening to. I just kind of like downloaded it and was listening to it. But it's the economic explanation behind a stateless society. And I was just understanding the incentives from everything. And then the Ron Paul election, I was so excited that Ron Paul, this cool guy in 2008. And then 2012, he had the election stolen. And it's like, what is the solution here, man? Why are we getting extorted through taxation and forced to do all these things? And then you look into the organization, and it's based on coercion, intimidation, and threats and violence. And it seems like the next phase of human consciousness is personal liberty, individual sovereignty, and really respecting you as a king, me as a king, the women as queens, that you have sovereign rights from God or from nature. And just like how the monarchy evolved to the constitutional republic, I think humanity, hopefully, through our efforts, will realize that they own this flesh and blood, and they can do whatever they like as long as they don't harm another person or their property, known as the non-aggression principle. And then it's like, well, how do you get these ideas out there? It's intergenerational organized crime is the government, per Etienne de la Boétie Squared, that great book. But I think intergenerational freedom is the solution. And so I just published that speech that I gave at Narca Vegas a few days ago, put that up. So I think it was understanding the importance of the minds of the children, and that in the school system is where they get you to pledge allegiance, to their flag, and you don't even know what that word means, and you don't even know what they're about. And the U.S. is the largest military in the world and killing, millions of civilians. It's like, what is the solution? I think it is to withdraw support and to educate the next generation about what's really happening, and to speak truth to them so they can have a better handle for their own lives, and build an exciting, good life for themselves, something that they can feel happy about. And I just wish that the people around me would have been honest with me as a kid, asking adults questions, and like they give you some BS answer, and you're like, find out later they didn't know what they were talking about. Life is a beautiful mystery, and so embracing that mystery, I think, is one of the secrets to finding excitement and passion and love and all the great things it is to be human.
Awesome. What was your, I guess you could say, schooling or lack of schooling experience like growing up? What was it like for you? What were your experiences?
I was an athlete, so I had to keep the 2.0 average, and then my parents were real stricklers, so they mandate I have a 3.0 GPA. So I had to walk the line, and I learned to play the game and do all the things and be compliant and, swallow my truth and bite my tongue and all these things that are important to become an educated person. And it was just boring. I partied pretty hard in high school, I would say, and not too crazy, but like it's boring, so I had to self-medicate. I think I started, trying the cannabis in like the 8th grade because my friend introduced me, and I was like, this makes class interesting. I don't want to read about the Oregon Trail, in the 8th grade when you're 14 and becoming a man, so that was my experience. But yeah, I learned to get good grades and do the test and memorize it and regurgitate it. And then upon high school graduation, the funny question is like, oh, what are you going to do with your life? What's next? And you're like, I don't know. You tell me. You've been giving me assignments for a decade, so now I got to make the decision. So I would say, I grew up in a small town. About 4,000 or 5,000 people in my hometown. I'm a small town guy, and it was like Smallville. People wave at each other and like nice to each other, leave the door open, and I thought that was the world. And then you travel a little bit, and you see there's bigger cities and bigger things to see and try, and just kind of want to maybe to leave the small town. But my experience was public school. My mom, like I said, was a school teacher. She's like, if I would have known homeschooling was so good, I would have homeschooled you, but I didn't know. It's like, I forgive you, Mom. It's all good. We're all doing the best that we can, with the knowledge and awareness that we have. So it was a public school, athlete and, these kind of things. But I got out of town and haven't really moved back since.
Okay, that's good. What kind of, I guess you could say, starting points or talking points would you say you found in your work that's been effective to helping people start to think outside of the compulsory schooling paradigm? Like what kinds of, things have you said or ideas that you've, shared with others have caused a kind of change or a stir in people to make them listen to what you have to say about it?
So one is helping them understand the basics of the origin of the school system. So that's one. So if you can understand that the school system was designed to create obedient workers for the military, consumerism, and for being obedient employees, that's step one. So I try to emphasize that. I don't go too hard on that, but say, hey, this is why it was designed. That's why it is compulsory. And then I start with what is an education, or what do you desire for your child? We really have been so brainwashed for decades that people don't even know what an education is, in terms of, getting good grades or high SAT scores and all this baloney. Nobody cares about that in the real world. No one ever asks to see my transcripts, or I got a business degree and nobody cares. So, it's like redefining what is an education and what do you desire? What do you want your child to, what's the relationship that you want, with your child? And so they don't know. If I ask them I don't ask that question directly because it's a little bit confrontational, but I say, just so you know, here's my definition. An education is what you do to yourself to create a good life. And then this is what you got to decide. What is a good life? You know, you got to find your own values and morals and beliefs. And as long as you're not harming other people, I think, choose whatever you want. But that's what I start with, some of those basic questions, because parents don't have the time to like look into all these things and read Gatto's books or these other ones. I mean, they should make time, they're not huge books, but in their own mind, they, I think it was like 50% of adults don't read another book after high school. So they got it drilled out of them. They hate reading books just like I did. I hated reading through school because they made me read Jurassic Park and Catcher in the Rye and all these things. I'm like, what is this? I don't understand. Like, how does this affect me? And then when I was 21, I got into my first business, and my mentor recommended I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and then Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And I was just like, I read those in like 3 days. I was like, whoa, this is unbelievable. So that's where I start redefining what is an education, redefining what is success. This is another question that we never hear in school, in college. Like, they should have a goal setting class, a goal setting year where all you do is set goals, small goals, major goals, and go out and pursue them in trial and error. But it's redefining what the education is. And just for your audience here, my definition of success I got from Coach John Wooden. And he said, success is peace of mind, which is a direct result in self-satisfaction in knowing that you made the effort to become your best. And so in short, it's like, just do your best, try your best, try to be a good guy, treat people right, and, be respectful. It's like, that's success for me, is doing your best. And so I start with those definitions and then kind of see where parents are at. Mostly parents are just afraid of ruining their child's life. They're like, oh my gosh, if I pull my child out, now it's like all on me, and I have to be the teacher of 7 subjects, and I was bad at math, and I was, not good at science and all these things. It's like, no. So what I help them realize is that you don't got to be a teacher. I encourage you to be a facilitator, a guide, a coach, a learning partner. That way you create the space. And this is how I define homeschooling, is when a leader creates an atmosphere where personalized learning can occur. So you're the leader, mom and dad. So what do? You create an informal environment where you can actually relax, and mistakes are embraced and welcomed and not shunned. Starting there gives them a little bit of, I would say, safety, and knowing that, like, you don't have to know it all. You don't have to be like, demonstrate your GPA with me or anything. It doesn't matter to me. If you're a nice person, you're respectful, you're coachable, teachable, then you're going to succeed in life. And starting there is a place that I find a lot of success.
Oh, that's great. When it comes to, that transition that you're just talking about of helping parents and students choose outside of the schooling paradigm, what would you say if someone was, thinking about that seriously? What would you say are 2 or 3 things that they should really think about if they're seriously now considering moving out of the schooling paradigm?
If you're seriously considering moving out of the school paradigm, congratulations, you are a visionary parent. And the compulsory school system is the kind of the new experiment on your child. It's been around for 100 years, 150 years. Homeschooling has been a de facto way to transfer knowledge. And even if you just sit your child in front of a television, which I don't recommend, for 8 hours a day, it's going to be a lot more educational than forcing them to do these different subjects. So as a parent, you love your child. So you actually have emotional investment and maybe financial investment in your child's success. You want them to grow up, and maybe you want some grandkids, or you want them to be happy. Whereas these teachers, unfortunately, they see 100 to 125 students per day, and they probably don't even know your child's name unless there's some kind of, troublemaker or some person who speaks up. I mean, that's a lot of kids to memorize. So you're not going to screw up your child. Homeschool has been the way, and it's never been easier with these different groups. I have a homeschool leader Facebook group. You're invited to join and get some support. And there's thousands of people doing it, or I should say, leaving the school system every year. And conservatively, there's like 2 million homeschoolers, but I think it's closer to like 5 or 6 million. and the department doesn't report these numbers because they don't want to fuel the awakening of these parents that are removing their children from the school system. And also, forget the curriculum aspect of it. This is a big question also. It's like, man, what type of curriculum to use? Well, first of all, you got to look at the word curriculum. What does that mean? Because again, we have to redefine what an education is. Curriculum, the root of it, means a course or a path. So, like Gatto said, your education should be as unique as your fingerprints. So if you're one of 7 billion people and so is your child, then how do you know which path they're going to choose for themselves? What course are they going to choose? Well, you create the space, and then one of the curriculums that I have in the group is called the World as the Classroom curriculum. And this is just opening up to the reality that learning is always happening. You know, here we are on a Wednesday evening, and there's people learning, and I'm learning, and this is just what educated people do. You know, we keep acquiring knowledge and learning and dialoguing back and forth. So the world is the classroom, and anybody and anything you can learn from can be a teacher. So rather than thinking, okay, I'm going to buy this curriculum and it's going to be 10 a.m. math time, okay, let's go. Why not embrace the responsibilities of life? So what do you do, mom and dad, on a daily basis? Well, there's probably shopping, cooking, cleaning, communicating. Bring your children along with you because they will observe you. And so if you're a loving, sweet person, as I believe you are, they will model you, they will mimic you, they'll start saying the same words as you. And so rather than forcing it on them, do it through osmosis and observation. And then at some point, just like after you teach someone to ride a bike, they can ride the bike by themselves. You know, once you say, yeah, knowledge, and you can turn it into maybe some rhetoric and teach other people and sell things like you're doing here powerfully, you know, create some type of value for other people in the marketplace, then you can have a little small business, you know. And these are one of the best things that young people can do is do a little lemonade stand, do a little newspaper, or print a newsletter out, or do something that they're excited about, but it doesn't have to be on you, mom and dad. So you're not going to mess them up. What happens is the school system gets money by their average daily attendance. And so every time a parent removes their child from the school system, the district loses money. And as I mentioned, it's a huge business, and they like that money. And it goes into all the people's pockets, and the textbook manufacturers, the architects, the bus manufacturers, the uniform, the food business, the trash business, supplies. I mean, it is amazing what businesses are profiting off the suffering of children. And I know those are strong words, but I don't know what you say when you force a human being in a building against their will. I mean, it really is a day prison. So I'm sure at your house, your homeschool, you'll allow them to use the bathroom anytime they want, and get a drink of water anytime they want. I mean, it's so dehumanizing in the system, in the school system, that there's no way you're gonna, you know, harm their mind or harm their future. In fact, the love that they feel from you is going to empower them, give them courage to take risks in life. So you're a visionary parent if you're considering it. And there's other resources. You know, I've done video interviews with people. Dana Martin's one who comes to mind, the unschooling mother for, you know, 20 years. And she can tell you the stories of, you know, what to expect and why there's really nothing to fear. And we're facing kind of our old childhood fears when we're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to mess up my child. But it is natural and normal. So don't criticize yourself too hard. Forgive yourself, forgive your parents, forgive the school system. It took me a while to forgive the teachers and the school system where I was at, because I really thought my grades and tests and all that stuff mattered. The essays, you know, and the college is like, this is going to be important someday. No, it's not. It's what you're doing. It's being in the present moment and connecting with other humans, as you know, your listeners probably know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's important that people, you know, look at their own goals as opposed to what other people are saying they should be doing with their lives. Because obviously they don't have to live your life. You have to live your life. You're the one who has to deal with the consequences and the path at the end of the day. How would you say, you know, if someone were to say, oh, well, my kid, how are they going to be a doctor? How are they going to be a lawyer, a professional? How would you say you would respond to someone who might be concerned that, you know, they want their kid to be on a more academic path, you know, or they want, you know, do something, you know, more professional? What would you say in light of that with unschooling, homeschooling, things like that?
Beautiful question. So There are licenses required, for some of these professions. And as someone who believes in voluntary relationships and the illegitimacy of government, it's a whole nother conversation about needing a license. But let's say they want to go that path, a doctor, maybe there's a lawyer, maybe there's some other profession that you got to get that license. If you have to go to a college, then I recommend you graduate them early, or they can go through the homeschool process, and you can give them a high school diploma through that process. But the best thing is to graduate them early, get them into either community college or some local hospital volunteering. And maybe they're 13, 14, 15. This is something that they want to do, right? This is mom and dad. You're not forcing them. Hey, son, you got to be a doctor, right? This is like, I want to be a veterinarian. I want to be a doctor. I want to save lives. Sweet. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put you in the actual environment, and we're going to create relationships with the doctors. And maybe we know somebody in our personal network who is a doctor, and we can introduce you. And then if you guys like each other, then you say, okay, come here, young one, 14-year-old, come into my hospital, and, you can shadow me for the day or whatever. So you want them to see what it entails, whether it's, bone doctor or surgery or whatever it is, and see if that's what you want to do. And then if you do want to do that, then keep up that relationship, build a relationship with that doctor. And then maybe after a few weeks, a few months, then you can get a letter of recommendation or a verbal recommendation. Say, hey, thank you, Dr. Smith. I want to go learn from Dr. Jones. Okay. Would you mind just, give me sign this letter of recommendation, or give me a quick, like a referral? Okay, sure. So that can get you in over there. And if you do that for maybe 3 or 4 doctors, multiple hospitals if you want, then you can have a letter of recommendation for your application when you actually apply to the medical school. Because remember, these medical colleges are businesses. They want your money, and they also want your child to be successful, not for the altruistic reasons, but because when your child, let's say Doogie Howser, right? Say Doogie Howser, comes at age 12 and he does all these things, and he graduates at 16 and is out there saving lives at 18 or whatever in the operating room. They're going to say, wow, where did Dr. Hauser go to school? Oh, he went to, ABC medical school. And they say, wow, great job. But the secret is that before he entered medical school at age 14, he was volunteering for 2 or 3 years, meeting doctors, and you, mom and dad, are the ones who facilitate that and allow them to meet these doctors. Of course, you've pulled them out of the forced school situation, so now they can experience what is real life actually like. So, and then you do that in the application process. So let's say they're, 16 years old, 15 years old, and they're applying to college. They're going to look, and they're not going to say, oh, this person looks like some kind of, unserious person, unserious potential student. They're going to see letter of recommendations from real doctors saying, yes, John really is a great worker. He's committed. He's punctual. He's serious. He's going to be a great doctor. I highly recommend you admit him to your college immediately. The admissions directors say, okay, this one stands out, and this one doesn't, and this one doesn't. This one's like, I think Harvard rejects, I think it's like 80% of their valedictorian applications that they get, because they don't want people who just follow the rules. They want innovators. They want creators. They want people who are going to make a difference with their lives. And young people, a lot of homeschoolers are great students. The other aspect is they don't drop out. So because a homeschooler wants to be there in college, they continue the path. Whereas if, mom or dad is a Harvard graduate and they force them to go to school and become a doctor, a lot of times they would drop out. So I would say hack the admissions process, and then get some letter of recommendations, have them volunteer with some of the local hospitals. And this is one way to get your foot in the door. But then ultimately, as we all realize, getting your foot in the door is step one, and then performing is step two. And, this is another conversation, but, being a good person and punctual and hard worker and dedicated and persisting, these are powerful ways to also be recognized.
How would you say that adults can themselves work toward undoing the traumas from school they had themselves? Because as you noted, it's a very pressurized system, and a lot of times they push parents to become their own tools within school of pressure for students, and threats and shames and ultimatums, just trying to get kids to work for the sake of grades. What would you say is a good way for parents to heal themselves and become, great facilitators for students in an unschooling environment?
Mm. This is the tough one because as adults, our mind is more concrete versus the flexibility and plasticity of the young people who are like very adaptable. So after become adults, 20s, 30s, 40s, like there's still some like inkling of pride in me, like, oh, I got a college degree and I got these grades, you know. But seriously, in the marketplace, nobody's ever asked me about that. So it's been basically this being truthful with ourselves and understanding that system was designed for obedience and habit training. There are forces that want to enslave the mind of children for the next generation and create a global state, as demonstrated in the book Tragedy and Hope and other resources. But in terms of like you deprogramming yourself, I would recommend you practice self-care. And this is something that I never even heard about, but meditation, yoga, maybe a transcendental meditation, maybe psychedelics, maybe tantra, whatever it is to help release what is inside of us. There's transformational education out there as well, but like we have to reform our own mind, and it's, I would say, throwing away almost all belief in any legitimacy of grades, test scores, and that is any meaning, and understanding that it's about the value you give to other people, whether for money or for free. And that's one step. The other part is we are so bombarded with media continuing to reinforce school, college, and they make it seem that college is success. So as an adult now, I would invite you to redefine success for yourself. I gave you one definition. You also have Earl Nightingale, who said success is progress towards a worthy goal or worthy ideal. The simplicity of that one is pretty exciting. But you, as an adult, think about what you want your life to look like in the next 5 years or 2 years or 6 months or whatever timeline excites you. Because now, I'm in my 30s, and I don't know what your age or your audience members are, but like when I was 22, I was like, I'm gonna be young forever. You still feel so powerful, and you're like 25, 28, and you're like, wow, time is really moving. So as adults, we realize how fast time goes. So I would say put yourself around a learning community, people that are empowering and have their own goals and dreams that they're trying to manifest. Because if you hang around with some of the people who are what I call dream stealers or negative Nancy's or Debbie Downers, then you'll come up with some great idea, you'll express it, and then they'll poop all over your dreams, all over your goals. So have a good supportive community around you that understand that, life is about ups and downs, peaks and valleys, and you're still valuable the way you are, and this is why I named my school Valor Academy, is I want parents to know your child has value right now. They don't got to jump some hoops and please you or please me. They are humans on the earth, and they're super valuable. And also courage is necessary. So it takes courage to look inside yourself. It doesn't take courage to watch sports all day or movies all day and just like numb ourselves. Although I like entertainment, I like escapism too, but we're here for a significant reason. And this is a bigger question, of existence, creation, purpose. How do we get here? Where are we going? That's a big question. So start exploring that if you want. Think about like how special it is to be a human, how precious this oxygen is this day. And this is why the mandatory mask is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't breathe. It's like I have a right to breathe oxygen, but now you can't. Now this whole COVID scamdemic is taking away your right to life and breathing. So I would redefine success and put yourself around a good community, supportive people, and start focusing on self-love, self-care, and allow yourself to feel what you really want to feel and be. One of my favorite books is The 5 Regrets of Dying, and it's unbelievable what people feel on their deathbed. They wish they would have told their friends and families they loved them. They wish they could have lived a life true to themselves. They wish they would have had more courage to pursue their goals and dreams. And it's like, wow, if that's the regret on their deathbed, then I should probably do that right now. And so I recommend that book to help y'all de-school yourself, deprogram our own adult minds from the compulsory program that we all have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It takes a lot of work to be able to undo the trauma from schooling just because of, how deep it goes and how long it's done for many people. I think that just tying into something you just noted about, with everything, the mass and stuff like that, there's been a lot of people who have started to question the schooling paradigm more than ever now that many schools are shut down or partially open. I think I've seen a surge personally in people starting to investigate homeschooling, unschooling, and the like. Have you yourself seen a new or greater interest in unschooling and deschooling since the lockdown shutdowns?
Absolutely. Yeah, more people joining the group, getting consultations and people reaching out. And, I've had, like I said, the expo for a few years. There was one lady and she said, I've been thinking about this for 3 years. I've been going to your expo every year and I'm finally ready to pull my kids out. I'm like, wow, it's unbelievable that I didn't realize that parents are so afraid of it. So now with the whole COVID thing, there's a very strong interest and people are actually doing it, because sometimes you get up to the ledge and then you look at the ledge and you're like, uh-oh, should I jump? No, who's going to help me? And then if your friends come with you, now you're like, okay, we'll hold hands and we'll jump together. And so I think even more, the child abuse is prevalent now in the school system with the masks and the social distancing. I've seen kindergartners in basically square bubbles. I'm like, what are parents doing? Well, they don't know what they don't know. And so this is why I'm trying to accelerate the launch of the Gatto Project, where it's like, just get your kids out. It doesn't matter if you homeschool, private school, democratic school, anything, agile learning centers, self-directed teen center, get them out so they're not around this programming, because it's all about creating the adults for the future who are just gonna say, oh yeah, okay, we'll get the force vaccine. Yeah, we'll get the tracking thing. And it's really understanding the long-term vision is where this is all going. So yeah, a lot of parents are asking questions, and I'll do a 15-minute consult for free if your audience has some questions to bounce off me. But you can do it, mom and dad, and I know you've been thinking about it if you have for a while. But it's going to be just with each passing day, it's becoming more apparent to me that this is where the society is going. If we're trying to build a voluntary world, which is my dream, one of them, is going to be helping the next generation understand self-ownership, understand natural rights. And mom and dad also, we got to unlearn, as you stated. So there's increased interest, and I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people who have skills to teach niche specialties, that people want to learn, self-reliance, self-sustainability. So there's some opportunities in the future for those teens and for those adults.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I agree with you that there's been just a huge growth in interest, especially with all the shutdowns, lockdowns, and how important it is that people take time to think about their values and their goals. I think that even within the context of unschooling centers, you could say there's been some debates or discussions and differences among them as to like how they handle the shutdowns and the masks and things like that. I personally, try to advocate that unschooling centers should not give into the mask fear, mostly because I think that the data shows that young people are basically not going to die, as compared to any other risk, like driving to the center in the first place. And right. That by and large, if they were scared about, them passing it to an elderly person or immunocompromised person, they don't really seem to have the elements that would spread it. Children are also highly asymptomatic if they do get it. So it just seems rather silly as compared, again, I look at any other risk. It just doesn't seem to be valid. Maybe 5 months ago, you might've been like, "Ooh, we don't know what's happening in China." But after looking at all the data across Europe and the United States, it's pretty clear that scaring children and making them think that they're going to literally die when, not even the CDC's own numbers suggests that by any measure is really just perpetuating the abuse of the compulsory schooling system, which in my opinion is a fear-based mindset, which is, the idea that you should be afraid of failure. You should be afraid that if you don't do everything that they say, doesn't matter what it is, you're bound to die or just be completely destitute. And I think that kind of psychology is very powerful at crippling young people in their learning and their self-growth, as you noted, getting them to move away from thinking about what are their personal goals and how can they set themselves up for that and work toward that end, and instead get them to worry about what is the next test, when is the next quiz, oh, did I turn that homework? When, by and large, most of that is just busy work. And I know because I have personally, of course, worked with students as a teacher, still do to this day, actually still work with students and get to see it up close and personal as to, what's going on. And it truly, more than ever, is just nothing more than a lot of wasted time in child abuse. It's all it is. It's just scaring kids and, getting them to think that they're worthless because they don't meet someone else's idea of when they should be doing what, regardless of their personal interests, aspirations, and their abilities. So I really appreciate what you're doing with trying to get families to rethink what it is they can do as to education and what learning is, and helping facilitate families be able to make their way out of that system. So I think it's very important work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to touch on something you mentioned about mistakes. I think as parents out there and people thinking about, homeschooling or are homeschooling, you got to redefine and kind of become reacquainted with mistakes. Mistakes are actually great teachers and should be embraced. One of the great examples is that if you become a Hall of Fame baseball player, you hit 300% batting average. That's 3 out of 10 at bats, you get a hit. So that is utter failure in the school system. But in the real world of baseball, that's Hall of Fame material, multimillionaire life. So thinking that 50%, 60%, 70% is bad out of 10 opportunities, again, in business, if you got 5 out of 10 businesses successful, that's huge. That's a major success. So embrace the mistakes. And I know it's difficult because, you got to do perfect. This is something that I find in myself, perfectionism. This is no good. This is not helping me, to be perfect about this stuff. It is trial and error, draft 1, draft 2, draft 20. Let's see how we can get better and just put it out there. And so, I agree. I'm still programming myself, but, self-love, mistakes are good, that good self-talk that Shad Helmsetter was talking about. So think about the mistake curriculum in terms of encourage mistakes, not because you want them to hurt themselves or, do something bad, but so they can become unstoppable. And then once you start making mistakes and you're no longer attached to the mistake, you can separate, that's the mistake and this is me, and one of the great analogies I give for my clients and people is that imagine that the wealthy person in your town became blind and you have eyeballs of the perfect blood type and perfect genetics. They're going to buy both of your eyeballs for $1 million. Would you sell both of your eyeballs? Probably not. How about $10 million? $500 million, you're going to pluck out your eyes and be blind? Probably not. So this number can get as high as $1 billion. And I've yet to meet somebody. I met some people that will say yes for that, but most people are like, no, man, all the money in the world. I'm not going to sell you both my eyeballs, man. I like looking at, the world. So from just a anecdotal standpoint, you're worth $1 billion right now. You're valuable. Your flesh, your blood, your eyes, your hands, your body, your organs. Man, you're so valuable. And so if a child can understand that at a young age, they're going to keep that confidence. But as you said, they get programmed with the grades and they're saying, okay, if I get low grades, I'm bad. I get high grades, I'm good. But it's not the truth. And it's one of the greatest lies and deceptions. So think about mistakes, understand your inherent self-worth in your body that your parents or God or nature gave you. My gosh, how special and precious it is to have hands and to have feet and to go out and, for me, like swimming in the water on a hot day. I don't know if it gets any better than that. I just love doing that. It's really something that I really enjoy. But find out what you enjoy. What does your child enjoy? And this life goes so fast, so you might as well allow them to pursue what they're interested in. And if they make mistakes, great, because that's going to teach them.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think what you said was just extremely important for people to understand, that the mistakes making process and learning from that is integral to becoming a better person and being better at whatever it is that you're looking to do and growing your skills. And that was, to me, one of the most frustrating things about the schooling process, especially as to writing. And I really saw how much young people are hurt by this, is that they think their writing's bad because they have such a limited time often to either submit a paper or write something. But in reality, people who write well tend to have much more time to write, have editors, have all different types of supports. And I think it's really destructive to young people to be in that environment where they're told that their writing is going to be just assessed and judged on a short-term basis, when that's not really how idea formation happens. People take lots of time to write books and revise and edit articles, and they have, feedback process in ways that just is not represented in a schooling paradigm. So that idea of, oh, mistakes are bad. You can't do this. It needs to be perfect, and you need to submit it in by Friday, and that's it, and that's over. Don't think about the paper again. Next paper. It really sets young people up for failure, I think, as you noted, by getting them to focus on just fleeting perfectionism. Okay, it just has to be good enough here to, get the grade, and then, move on. Don't think about it again. When in reality, a lifelong project of building something that you really want to make amazing, whatever type of thing it is, endeavor creatively or business-wise, can take a long time with many revisions and additions and drafts, as you said, working at it and finessing it over time, even years. So.
That's right. And there's also I want to plug Gatto's, one of his gems that he gave me. In Harvard, there was a period, I think it was in the 60s and 70s, there's a large number of writers and authors who came out of Harvard. And so in their English class, what they would do is they have, I think it was a daily assignment to write 1,000 words. And you would go drop this letter into a box outside this building. And the kids were like thinking, the students were like, oh no, this is going to be read by some great luminaries in the publishing world, and we're going to be picked and chosen. But ultimately, this box was a box that just got thrown away. So every day, these people are writing their essays and thinking this is really good. So it wasn't the content of the essays that the benefit was for them. It was the actual skill of learning to write and to think and to put your language together in words. And so practice is how we become experts. Not so much thinking, as thinking is important, but to do the thing when it comes to writing, and allow the thinking process to not be rushed, but to just do the writing as best that you can. And then over time, your writing skills improve. And I thought that was such a great little nugget. So if you want to be a writer, write. If you want to be a singer, sing. If you want to be a dancer, dance. You don't got to be perfect at age 10 or 20 or 30, wherever you are. Just begin, and it's the consistency, it's the habit of doing that thing, whatever that thing is, and then you get better and you become skilled and more articulate and more powerful, and then you become someone in the marketplace, people who will pay you to do what you do. So yeah, you're so right about the writing versus doing it for a passion and for a career. The environment is totally different.
Absolutely. So I appreciate everything you've had to say so far, and for being willing to talk with me and just let everybody know exactly what it is that you're up to and how you're contributing to the unschooling, homeschooling community. Where could people go to find more about you and your work?
You can go to the Homeschool Leader Facebook page is pretty good. Also, the GattoProject.com will be launching shortly. And if you want to do a consult with me, just email me at info@homeschoolleader.com. We'll do a 15-minute consult. I'm also on Instagram, the David James Rodriguez, and YouTube, David James Rodriguez, and Homeschool Leader. So some of these terms, you can look at these search engines and you'll find me. And yeah, feel free to reach out. But I just want to really recognize you for producing content. And this is really how we're going to make a difference in the world, is getting the audio and the video out there. And for the parents out there, like, it's totally okay to be afraid, but this is a path that has been taken millions of times, probably billions of times, and we just got to break through our own mental limitations that we put on ourselves and that the media puts on us and schools put on us and all these well-intended, institutions or people, but ultimately we got to break through in an individual way. And a lot of people are succeeding because it's a redefining of what success is, redefining of what education is. What do you desire for your children, for your child? And if you start there, I think you'll end up in a good spot.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate, David, for taking time to talk with everybody here. And I look forward to catching up with you in the future about what you're doing and hearing more great successes of your helping families be able to unschool and homeschool. So I think that's really excellent, and I'm really excited for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Tish. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Take care, everybody. We'll do another interview in the near future.